Hi everyone, I'm Madeline Park, stylist and vintage fashion hound. I believe everything has a story, whether it be clothes or the people that wear them. Currently our stories may be warped by a world pandemic, but I want to focus on what we can control. So this is Style at Home, a bonus mini-series following season 1 of Style Stories. I sit in my closet with old and new peers and discover how they dress in isolation. Together we address their style at home. Today I'm chatting with Melissa Singer, National Fashion Editor for the Sydney Morning Herald and The Age. Melissa likes to keep things real as her role requires her to report on fashion amidst a platform of health, education and political news. While Melissa's job allows her to throw light to the shade, she can't help but get a little political about style at home.
Hello.
Hi Madeline, how are you?
Hi. Good. Melissa, how are you?
Very well, thanks.
Thanks for joining me today.
My pleasure.
I've got to say, it's a little bit intimidating interviewing someone who normally has all the questions. How does it feel for someone else to interview you for a change?
I feel very relaxed, actually.
Yeah.
I still, even though I've been a journalist for 20 years, I still get a little bit nervous before I interview certain people. So I can empathise, and you shouldn't feel nervous at all, because we all, I think a bit of nervousness is a sign that we care and that we want to do a good job. So I always encourage a little bit of nervousness and a bit of adrenaline, and then I also very much encourage a reward once you've got through a tough interview, like a piece of chocolate.
I agree. Especially given like we're going into Easter weekend, and whether we celebrate Easter or not, I think given the days are just merging into each other, I think it might be a little kind of feeling like a long weekend, like beginning of long weekend drink at the end of today, I think is in order.
I think that's a fine idea. I think everyone should do their Zoom fitness class.
Yeah.
And then slip on maybe a little, maybe not a party dress. I'm not really getting into the whole get dressed up at home thing.
Right.
But I am into the, add a little touch of glam sort of thing. So
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So have you got any plans for the weekend?
Not a whole lot. I want to do some reading. I feel like my reading has lapsed a little bit in the past week or so. It's amazing how full my days have been, I have to say.
I understand.
It's finding a lot of jobs to do. And I'm also cooking a lot, so that takes time, and doing a lot of home fitness and long walks with the dog. So yeah, no grand plans. A couple of virtual catch-ups with friends, I'm sure.
Yeah, nice. So your normal job as fashion editor of Sydney Morning Herald and The Age is a very public role in that you have a lot of events that you would attend, and you're publicly facing high-profile people. How does that normally impact how you get dressed for work each day?
It's a really good question. I normally get dressed for whatever my day holds, but I also reserve the right to do an outfit change.
Yeah.
I don't always. If I can be really organised, I sometimes will go to work in what I plan to wear to an event, so long as it's not a black tie event or an event that has, a dress code where I want to wear something that perhaps if I wore it to the office, it would be too distracting for everybody else.
Yeah.
I am quite fine with going to the office in a ball skirt, but I know that I don't want to draw undue attention to myself when everyone's there trying to do their work. So occasionally I do it just for laughs, but they do also they've also learned to ignore me, when I walk in wearing a tutu or wearing pajamas or, whatever it is. So, it's just Mel, she's the fashion editor. It's a lot easier now in my office because I sit with the more lifestyle team sort of people. So I sit near food and entertainment, whereas in our old building a couple of years ago, I used to sit with, health education and great people, but, they'd be sitting there talking about, the latest crisis in their round, and I'd be asking somebody, which colours were in for this season, and it was a little bit jarring at times. Well, I always come back to the fact that, often my work can, bring some light when there's a lot of darkness, and I'm really finding that at the moment. But I think in some ways, I'm finding navigating this strange space, being a fashion editor, even more challenging than perhaps some of my colleagues, because my colleagues, they know exactly what they have to write and what they have to do. It's there in front of them. I think for me, it's very much become a bit of a balancing act between, writing about the really important stuff that's going on in the industry, and obviously the industry is getting completely smashed from a business point of view. Also giving people ideas and practical advice for how to dress for this new lifestyle that we've all been thrust into, but also being sensitive to the fact that, a lot of people don't have money to go and buy new clothes at the moment. So I feel like a juggler at the circus that's, got quite a few balls in the air, and I'm trying not to let any one of them drop. So it's stressful, but it's great that I've got, good people around me who I can go to for advice and throw ideas, off, and also the fact that, working somewhere like the Sydney Morning Herald and the Age, we always come back to, making sure that we're writing for our readers, and we're making sure that, we're doing something that, sort of upholds, the history of and the integrity of the place that we're working. So it's fashion with purpose at the moment, I suppose. And a lot of my job at the moment is really filtering out a lot of the noise and just really trying to get to the stories that are actually important.
Because I was going to ask you, actually you've jumped straight into it, but I was going to ask you if everything that you're doing at the moment has to have a coronavirus twist, or are you able to, do you feel like you're able to offer just a complete departure for people?
Yeah, it's a tough one. I think at the moment, a complete departure is probably seen as not reading the room quite right.
Yeah.
So I think it's, for me, it's that balance between, you can't be doom and gloom all the time, and it would be easy to. I could write every single day about a fashion brand that's struggling, and my heart really does go out to all of them. And obviously you do this job for long enough, and some of these people become your friends as well as your contacts. And to see it, massively impact not only the fashion, the public facing side of the industry, which is your designers, your retail stores, but also the people who work behind the scenes, the publicists, the creatives, the art directors, the photographers, all those people. It's quite heartbreaking. And so I feel very privileged that I still have, first of all, that I still have a job. Second of all, that I have a job that allows me to talk about some of the issues that the industry is facing. And it's great that we're talking today, because it coincides with the launch of this amazing We Wear Australian campaign, which again is trying to navigate that tricky space between asking people to support Australian designers, but also being very cognizant of the fact that not everybody has a couple of $100 to drop on clothes right at this time. So
what would you say is like the most hopeful piece of news that you've kind of reported on in the last month or so?
Oh, in the last month. Look, I just think there's been a real groundswell of unity in the industry. I think a lot of the time brands can sit in their own bubble, and I know that everyone's trying to survive and thrive and, retain their market share and get into those overseas markets, which is critical to Australian brands being successful, because Australia is so small. But what I've really seen through both the bushfires and seeing right now is that there is so much value to be drawn from working together. And that can be, on the practical side, that can be joining together to increase buying power on certain things, whether it's fabric, whether it's packaging materials, so that small brands are able to offer those sustainable packaging solutions that perhaps they wouldn't have the buying power to do on their own. And also just the conversations around the issues that are facing the industry. I think some really serious questions are being asked about fashion from within fashion at the moment at a global scale. The forced cancellation of things like Fashion Week, the forced cancellation of some brands aren't going to be able to produce as many ranges. And I think it's forcing us to ask questions about, well, hang on, how did we get to that point? And is that actually the desirable place that we want to be? Or is it just the place that we got to because we kept running and we kept pushing and we kept saying more, and also feeding back to people and consumers that was what they needed. What's really great about the time that we're in right now, not to obviously trivialize the horrendous health crisis that we're in, but that it is forcing a lot of industries to take a really harsh look at themselves. And I really, really, really hope that some of the positive changes that we're already seeing, or the potential for positive change that we're already seeing, will eventuate, and not only eventuate, but that it will stick. Because I know that people are talking about, I can't wait till I can go out again. And, I talk to people, and I'm really looking forward to going out again, but I'm also nervous about the potential for a frenzy at the end of this.
Yeah.
And
I'm worried about like a mass orgy, people just
of spending, of mindless consumption. And that's the thing. It can really go one of two ways. I think if we come, I worry that if we come out of it really quickly, it's going to be like schoolies. Everyone's going to go crazy. I think if we come out of it slowly and mindfully, then people will say, you know what, I went without a new pair of shoes for 6 months. I'm really going to think about that before I go and buy 6 pairs at the Christmas sales just because they're half price.
Getting back to you, Melissa, in terms of, so you're not wearing your ball skirts to work at the moment. What does your working from home wardrobe look like at the moment?
Well, it really varies on depending on my mood. I'm definitely adopting the demarcation rule, and the demarcation rule is that psychologically, when we're working from home, I think it's really important to delineate between rest time, exercise time, and work time. And so I'm making sure that, so my day, I usually take the dog for a walk in the morning, and then I come back, and then sometimes I'll have breakfast and then shower, or sometimes I'll shower and then have my breakfast. And it's really important for me to change out of whatever I either exercise or take the dog, or if I'm doing yoga, or if I'm going for a run in the morning. Or if I go for a run, I have to change because I'm, a sweaty mess. So it's kind of built in that I have to get changed. But that I have found that, and this is coming from someone who works from home at least one day a week normally. And it's funny, in that environment, I would often work on a Friday in my activewear and not think twice about it. But I think there's a difference between novelty of a day at home a week, even if it's routine, it's still only 20% of my work week. Whereas now that it's 100%, I found that it's really important to make that distinction. So I'm changing it up depending on what I've got on, depending on who I'm talking to. I'm not doing a bunch of Zooms. I'm not doing that many video conferences. So most of my work is on the phone, which is sort of like it is normally. I guess normally I'm out and about at events, like you said, and I'm out and about having coffees with people. So for me, it's not so much the dress that's changed the most. I'm not really wearing any makeup. That's probably the biggest change for me.
And are you on a bra holiday, to use your words?
Oh God, no bra holidays. No, I look, I've been a soft cup convert for a couple of years now. I actually wrote a whole article about it last year. But yeah, so I'm very very happy. I don't feel like working at home is a license to not wear a bra. Which I just find I mean I look I'm I don't have a really really big bust, and I would just find that really uncomfortable or a bit weird. But each to their own, each their own. I know some people, it's their thing. That's fine. For me, it's for me, it's just a comfort thing. But no, I also believe in wearing shoes. I'm actually working on a piece, or I will be writing a piece. I haven't written it yet. Looking at the power of very small fashion rituals. And from a personal point of view, one of the things that I really thought could make a difference to my ability to get into work mode, it wasn't necessarily putting on a jacket, because as I wrote this weekend just gone, oh no, sneak preview, it's coming out this weekend.
That's all right. This will be published next week. So
I wrote a piece about how I tried to do that whole a lot of the time my work uniform is a blazer, a t-shirt, and either pants, jeans, pleated skirt, what have you. And I thought a couple of Fridays ago that I was going to finish the week. It was my first week doing the full working from home, and I was finding it was quite an emotional roller coaster. And I thought Friday I'm gonna put on my red Effie Cats blazer and I'm gonna rock it, and this is no disrespect to Effie, because she made the jacket for me. It fits like a glove. But putting it on in this environment, it just felt disingenuous, and I felt weird, and I felt like it was crawling all over me, and I had to get it off. And so so for me, it's not necessarily about maintaining that kind of corporate thing, but for me, wearing shoes is something that every day I'm trying to do. So today I'm wearing like some nice leather trainers, but I find that making sure that I have shoes on is just a small thing that I can do that tells my brain that it's time to work. Yeah. But today I'm wearing my best friend, beautiful woman. She got me a vintage Japanese. It's not a kimono. It's like a kimono, like a daytime kimono. So I'm wearing that over a long sleeve t-shirt from Citizen Wolf, who do great made to measure t-shirts, and my trusty Camilla and Mark jeans. And I'm comfortable. I've cooked a soup at lunchtime. I've smashed out a couple of stories. I've done a bunch of interviews, and I feel comfortable. But I also feel that if any of the people I interviewed today showed up at my front door, I wouldn't feel embarrassed. I think more than anything, and whether it comes to how you're dressing, how much exercise you're doing, how much food you're ordering in, I think everyone just needs to be a little bit forgiving of themselves and kind to themselves. Like I was, not that, I'm great at giving advice. I'm not always great at following it. But yesterday I found I was getting a bit edgy because I hadn't done the exercise all day, and I thought, just like get over it. It's fine. It's one day. Like it's one day, and you're living in this extraordinary situation. And I ended up going for a run. That's the punchline. But but I think it's we all owe it to ourselves. So if you do have that day where you do want to just wear the leggings, or you do just want to wear the joggers, or whatever it is, if dressing well makes you feel good in this time, then do it. If wearing your ball skirt and going on Zoom with your friends on Saturday night for a laugh makes you feel good, do it. And I encourage that. Actually, we did a fancy dress party the other night for my friend's birthday. I think it's a great time to shop your wardrobe. It's a great time to think about the pieces that you have that every time you put them on make you feel really good, and have a dress up session.
I know you've been in newspapers for a very long time, but you started off in fashion magazines and started off as a stylist.
Mm-hmm.
How are you getting your creative outlet, given that you can't put your fun outfits together for events right now? Are you?
Oh, that's a good question. I think I'm channeling a lot of it into my food.
Yeah.
I'm treating myself to a bunch of flowers for my dining table, which is where I'm working. I'm looking at things that I might be able to get, little things that I can get from my house. I mean, I think like a lot of people, we don't know what tomorrow will bring in terms of, our, financial situation. And while for the moment, my partner and I are both, in work and everything's kind of okay, it's not really the time to be extravagant, but it's also fine if you see a really cute set of coasters or something that you want to buy for yourself.
Yeah.
But yeah, in terms of getting sort of creativity, look, I think it's like it's the small things. It's the, I think sometimes we don't take a fashion risk because we do fall into the, oh, will I look silly? What will people think realm? But
yeah, and people expect you to look a certain way, and there's that pressure there.
But at the moment, I mean, I think, I think there's a lot less pressure. No one needs to see you if you don't want them to see you. But I certainly think you can still find little outlets of creativity, and it might be something as simple as, I've never considered wearing a t-shirt over this roll neck before. I might give that a crack, and like here I am today, I'm in my Japanese robe, which I've never worn because I only got it yesterday, and a long sleeve t-shirt. But I'm also already sort of thinking to myself, how else could I wear this? Could I belt this with my, favorite, Gucci belt that I bought in Florence a few years ago, and I'll put that on and I'll think of being in Florence and I'll think about going to Florence again. And I think a lot at the moment, a lot of us need to dream, because whether we dream about travel, whether we dream about fashion and the events that we want to have when this is all over, I think dreaming is really part of what will get us through. And I think fashion can definitely be part of that dream and part of that fantasy.
Thank you so much for talking to me today. I really appreciate your time. And
me too. Thanks very much, Madeline.